Now, joining us now is a woman who has made equal pay one of the many issues she champions. Multiple-time founder and CEO Arianna Huffington, founder and CEO of Thrive Global. Arianna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Julia. Great to be with you.
So, Arianna, of course, Thrive consults to companies about how to improve their employee well-being. And I know you have a new book coming out on that very topic. But before we get to that, let's dig in here on equal pay. You've written about this in the past. How should companies be thinking about the importance of closing pay gaps?
So what we think is very important with all our work with Fortune 500 companies, Julia, is to look at the pay gap in the larger context also of the fact that women still carry a disproportionate amount of work at home. And during the pandemic, when our homes have become the most important place combining work, family, school, women have been so unequally burdened that we've seen over 2 million women having to leave the workforce. So this is an opportunity to really address a systemic injustice, both in terms of pay, but also in terms of how work is divided, in terms of what we call the mental load women have to carry. And we've launched a program called Working Families that really disrupts work-life integration and creates an entire organizational system that divides chores more equally based on an ownership model than on can I help you with lunch, dear model. And it may sound like small micro steps, but we believe we need to start taking these small micro steps at home, and we need companies to encourage this work-life integration so that women are not just paid unequally, but also carrying a larger part of the burden.
Yeah, crucially, the work-life integration for men as well as women. You make a very good point that you can't talk about this issue and not talk about the whole workforce, all employees. So right now, with this inequity widening over the course of the pandemic as more women leave the workforce, what is your recommendation to companies right now, especially as some companies are hiring again, some are entering more of a hybrid work environment?
Well, again, Julia, this is part of the larger reckoning post-pandemic, which is also a huge opportunity to redefine productivity and recognize that well-being and productivity are interconnected. So we see now multiple employers who work with, whether it's Bank of America, Accenture, Salesforce, Hilton, making well-being central to what they are doing for their employees, giving cultural permission from the top. So it's no longer just an HR, warm and fuzzy, nice to have benefit, but intimately connected with business metrics like attrition, recruitment, and performance. And we even had this new SEC rule, which is quite groundbreaking, asking companies, mandating actually, that companies report on what they are doing for their human capital in terms of attraction, development, and retention, which again puts well-being, mental health, mental resilience at the center.
Very interesting. Now, you're just this week releasing this new book that's based on all the data that you've gathered from your corporate clients. What are your recommendations to companies right now and to employees, especially as people re-enter the in-person workplace?
So, Julia, the book, which is called Time to Thrive, is based on a principle of micro steps. We find that a lot of companies, a lot of executives are so overwhelmed. There are so many demands on their time that if you ask them to do anything to improve their well-being and their performance, it overwhelms them even more. So we've broken it down into what we call micro steps too small to fail. And there are hundreds of them in the book. And everything based on the latest science that shows that, in fact, if we start these new micro steps, we build new, healthier, and more productive habits. And let me give you my absolute favorite, which is based on the latest neuroscience that shows that it takes 60 to 90 seconds to course correct from stress. Like anybody who is watching now, is stressed. We're not going to eliminate stress from our lives, but we can eliminate cumulative stress. We can avoid that simply by having the 60-second resets, as we call them, during the day, between Zoom meetings, after you received stressful news, before you go to bed, 60 seconds before you go to your phone in the morning. So in our work with companies, we put reset at the center, including with the call centers, Julia. Call centers are some of the most stressed out parts of our economy. But if you feed these 60-second Thrive calls to the operators, it really changes both the stress levels and customer success.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.